So our next steps are the center steps. So the first thing we're going to do is the center outside. So we're going to build this center and put both the bottom and the top onto it. So we need to cut one center for the outside and one center for the inside, and that's what we have here. So we have two ready to go. So again, we're going to hoop our stabilizer, and then we're going to download center outside, and we're going to go to the sewing machine. So we've done our first color, which is our placement stitch. And this is actually where our seam line is going to be. So when we put our center outside onto our placement stitch, it needs to be hanging over 1/2 inch all the way around. So 1/2 inch all the way around. And we're going to tape that down and go to the sewing machine. So the second stitch actually tacks down your center, and the third stitch is just this stitch here that tells you where to put the top. So this seam right here goes to that seam, or that third color. So it just goes right on top of it with the edge matching the edge, and that's going to be your 1/2 inch seam. So make sure that's nicely on there. Okay, we're going to tape it down, and then we're going to the sewing machine. Okay, so the fourth color tacked that down, and the fifth color stitched it down 3 times for strength, so we can remove the tape. The sixth color now is the placement line for the bottom. Okay, so now we have this line on the Velcro side goes to the placement line. So we'll just put it up there right on the placement line. That one. Again, this is going to be your 1/2 inch seam. We're going to tape it down, and we're going back to the sewing machine. Okay, so now our 7th stitch, tacked it down. Our 8th color, did it 3 times for strength. Now, very important, you have a 9th color. Do not stitch it. It keeps the sewing machine from returning to the center and getting all hooked up in here and breaking needles and doing all kinds of bad things to your machine. Stop it and take the hoop out, and then just stop your design. Do not do that last 9th color, that red color. So the next piece that we're going to do is the inside center. So we're going to put this center onto the inside fabric. We'll hoop our stabilizer, and we're going to go to the machine because our first stitch will tell us where the placement for the center inside is going to be. So what you want to do is place it with a 1/2 inch seam all the way around. Make sure you tape it down. Your second color is going to actually tack down the center. Your third color is going to tell you where to turn back to press. Your fourth color is going to tell you where the top of the insert of the wallet is going to be. And the next color is going to show you where the bottom of the insert's going to be. So pay attention to the sequence of colors. Okay, so now I paid attention. The second color went all the way around. The third color is these lines right here. So that's where we're going to turn back and press once we're finished putting the inset of the wallet in. This is the fourth color, so this is going to be the top of the inset. When I say top of the inset, the one where the coin first folds down. So that's the top, and the fifth color said that the bottom goes right here, and the bottom means the bottom of the inset where the card holder was. So now we'll just make sure it's right where we want it. We're going to tape it down. Tape it down here along that line. We're going to see that line right there. I'm going to tape it down there. And we're going to tape it down here. Okay, now we're going to go back to the machine. We're going to actually sew around here. This will be open because that's going to end up being where your bills go. And then it'll sew it around 3 times for strength. And you've got to be really very careful and make sure this is always out of the way when it starts to sew. And then again, the last color is red. Do not sew that last color. We want that last color to just stop and not return to the center. So here we are. It stitched it down and it stitched it across here 3 times for strength. Now we'll just go ahead and remove the tape and take it off the stabilizer. So remember those stitches, stitch number 3, color number 3 that says to turn it back there? We're going to turn that seam back right there at that line, and we're going to press it down nicely on both sides. We have 2 more files to do. The first one you want to do is called Complete First, and the last one you want to do is called Complete Last, and it's important that you do it in that sequence. So hoop a piece of stabilizer, and we're going to go to the machine and get some placement lines. So here are the placement lines, and this is the line that was the second color. So the second color indicated that we want this to be at the top, or to be across that second color. That one, and then this one is down here to this one right here. Make sure they're all exactly where you want them to be. And we're going to tape it down, and we're going to go to the sewing machine. So now we've got these stitched down on either side. We will lay this down on top of it. Now what we want to remember is we want the flap for your coin purse to be on the same side as the logo. Okay, you want to match these up very carefully. Make sure your seams are all matched up right. Now this is important. What you need to do now is tape down and make sure you tape down that seam and tape this flap, because your needle can catch that flap and it will break your needle. Go ahead and just do that. Tape it down good. The same on this side. Okay, so now you're going to go back to the sewing machine, and it's going to come down. It's going to sew these sides both, and then the last red color will not be sewn. Make sure you take it out. Okay, so now we've got these stitched down. We're going to take the tape off, and we're going to remove it from the stabilizer, turn it inside out, and be ready for the last file. Okay, so now we want to go ahead and press and set these seams. We'll press the seams and set them. And we're going to turn our wallet right side out. So just open it up there on either side. Let's see, this might be the easier side to do it. And just turn it right over. Now we'll make sure it gets nicely pressed right there along that seam. And we'll do the same on this side. Make it nicely pressed on that seam.
Cut that out.
Okay, so now our last one is going to be Complete Last, and it is actually going to stitch around this edge. So it's going to stitch around this edge, and then you're going to move this up, and it's going to stitch this edge. So let's just tape these down. We want to tape it down on this side. We'll hoop up our last piece of stabilizer, and we're going to do complete last. Okay, so here's my placement lines, and the second color says put the logo side going this way. So we want to put the logo side this way on the placement lines, and we want to line those seams up right there. And we'll tape that down. Okay, tape that down. So our next stitching is going to go up this way and come back down there. So let's just make sure that we don't get this in the way of the stitching. So we're just going to pull this out of the way and pin it. Now we'll go back to the machine and we're going to stitch that line. Okay, so now we've got this stitched here. We're going to remove the tape, and we're going to take this off, and we're going to pull this clear up here out of the way. I guess I'll tape that and I'll try to use the pen. We'll tape that out of the way, and our last stitch is going to be down here. So we'll take it back to the sewing machine. We're going to stitch this. We've got one red stitch that you do not stitch. You just stop and take it out and cancel your file. Okay, let's just go ahead and get rid of all this tape that we've got taped down. Okay, all the tape's gone. I'll take it off the stabilizer. Oh, there's still some tape. Okay, let's trim up what little pieces of tape and thread that's hanging out. And there you go. There's your wallet. All done. Go to gmabani.com for this design, for this project, and lots of others. We really enjoyed sharing this with you, and happy sewing.